It is I, Lord Deathpain III. I must admit that throughout my existence there have been many creatures that host rather complex forms, whether it be designed with anatomy, colours, or both. Take my glorious body for example. Though undoubtedly the epitome of beauty, I must admit when drawing some may find it a bit challenging. Which is why I, Lord Deathpain III, have decided to allow one of my servants to draw my holy form whilst providing some advice. Now begin! These noises you are making. Desist!
But my hands!
Are you saying you lack the skills required to complete this simple task?
No, I'm saying I literally have no hands.
Fear not, you pathetic turd bucket, for I shall summon one of my minions to bestow to you unlimited skills to draw me.
What? No, I just need new hands.
I summon you, sponsor Papa Bunny.
Want to level up and obtain new skills?
No.
Well, good to hear. Instead of wasting your puny lives failing to self-learn, there is this amazing site that has already gone through all the effort of creating high-quality classes just for you.
Huh?
It's called Skillshare. This online learning community already has more than 25,000 classes of all types. This of course includes various art and animation classes, all involving different styles.
Huh, that's actually pretty interesting.
If you broken pocket watchers are curious, why not check it out? You already get 1 month as a free trial for the first 500 of you. If you click the link below in the description, then you get 2 months free.
Oh, really? That's so cool. Let me have a go. Wait, what?
I see you are now fit to serve me.
What's happening?
Get on with it.
Ah! I found many great videos on YouTube on how to make the actual design of a character look better. But what happens if you can't change the design? For example, it's not yours and someone's commissioned you. Or it's an art trade, you're drawing fan art, or even drawing your own character, but you refuse to change it because it's encased all your precious childhood dreams and memories and be sacrilege to touch this precious being that you've become emotionally attached to and is perfect in every sense of the. That's why I want to do something a bit different. Using Lord Deathpain III's glorious design, I want to show you my general thought process when I start to tackle a complex or clashy character and the 2 main points I like to keep in mind. Welcome to Ney's oversimplified and borderline useless explanations! Starting with number 1, composition. What the dickens is it? It's how you place the character in the scene. Where is it? Is it off center, the center of attention, near, far, wherever you are? Maybe hide some of the more confronting features when posing the character. Like maybe tucking those universe-destroying purple and green striped feet with infused ruby claws under that good boy's body when he's having his well-deserved beauty sleep. Or if there's a background, just shove him in the water or in the naughty corner. But Ney, what happens if that's the main feature of the character or the person wants to make sure all features are visible? Well then, my good lad, that's what brings us to lighting, the most powerful way to hide that questionable character without hiding that questionable form, especially when it comes to colors. There are so many different varieties of lighting, depending on how harsh the light source is. You could even drown out all the colors and still manage to make it look like the character! But that didn't explain anything. So first off, I need to think of a good pose and setting to draw Lord Deathpain III. What are his most confronting parts? Whatever they are, how could I hide or mask them a bit? Also, since his reference is so vague, what parts could I interpret? Remember, the type of pose you give a character can also tell a lot about his personality. When I see his crazy colours, I instantly think of a circus.
Having him in that setting will also help explain why a unicorn barfed on him. At first, I roughly sketch out some possible poses. While doing this, I also start to figure out what mood and style I want to go for. I originally planned on a more insane cartoon drawing, but ended up settling on a more realistic somber one. I always try to play around with the colour and lighting before I finalise the pose and anatomy. This way, I can start to get a sense of what the final piece could look like, and also what parts of him simply aren't working and need to be changed or hidden. I move on to drawing a more solid sketch or rough line art of the character. This way, I can easily fill in the different sections with colours taken straight from the reference. I try to never change the colours at first and let the lighting and shading do all the work for me later on. To keep in the circus theme, I have a singular harsh spotlight as my one and only light source. This way, he can not only be the centre of attention, but also drown out and mute a lot of the colours as they blend in with the light and shadow and give off a more lonely vibe. Speeding up, I start to add lots of the interpreted details in his design. For example, a clown collar around his neck instead of fur, a skull marking being an actual skull, the bandages on his legs instead of markings or socks, the wings being attached, and the blood dripping down his face. Keep in mind that sometimes you might not have this interpretation liberty because the character reference is more detailed or the owner of the character has stated otherwise. Now that I'm happy with the overall drawing, I decide to fiddle with the default filters in Photoshop to give it a slightly rough, almost old-fashioned texture, and also crush out some of the colours. I ended up adding a red tint to help harmonise everything together and really emphasise the blood and the light hitting him at the top. And there you have it! Also, one last thing I wanted to quickly mention was that I was worried about people coming to the conclusion that in order for the poorly designed character to look good was just to add a lot of detail or have a deeper understanding of lighting, anatomy, rendering and so on. Now, I'm not denying that having that extra knowledge or practice definitely helps.
What?
However, it's not the complete truth.
Okay.
This is only one style from only one person. Everyone has a different style and thus different ways of going about it. To prove this, I actually hosted a drawing competition as a sort of experiment to see what others did when drawing Lord Deathpain III. All you had to do was create the best drawing you can where his bad design actually looks good, with the catch of course being you couldn't change his design. The contest ended with 374 entries, all involving different styles and levels of detail, interpretation and knowledge. I'll put a link to the submissions in the description below if anyone wants to check out the entries posted on DeviantArt. So yeah, hopefully this video has given some of you a few ideas to think about when next you draw that nonsensical, complex or eye-bleedingly edgy character. Are you satisfied, my lord? Can I go home now?
Your unintelligible level of Hogwarts proclaiming my excellency was so underwhelmingly abysmal that I'm ashamed to consider you my underling.
So I can't go home, or?
The only use left for your meager existence is to be substance for my minion.
What? No! Yeah, so can I get a refund or?